How's it going? It's time for another daily coding problem. I've been doing these for about 20 days now, just kind of working my way through some technical interview questions from either LeetCode or dailycodingproblem.com. Gonna start my stopwatch now. Got up to an hour. Hopefully we get done a lot quicker than that though, but I want to give myself an upper end. Let's see what we have in store for today. So this comes from LeetCode's list of interview questions. I'm working top down, so if you were to see that list, you can see where we are in that list. And like I said, also from dailycodingproblem.com. So given a string containing just the characters, and then we have a list of characters, looks like brackets, right? We got parentheses, we got squiggly brackets, we got square brackets. Determine if the input string is valid. An input string is valid if open brackets are closed by the same type of brackets and open brackets are closed in the correct order. Note that an empty string is also considered valid. And then we have a bunch of examples. 5 examples. And we also have empty string being valid, which is not in our example list, so we'll have to remember that. So this is good. We've got 5 examples, so we can use these as our tests. And I think this makes a lot of sense, right? I don't think there's any tricks in this question. So that's valid, obviously. That's valid. This is not valid because the parenthesis isn't closed by the same type. This is a total nightmare looking. That's totally not valid. And that looks valid. Okay. I think this is pretty straightforward. I think what we're going to do is just use a stack here, right? I bet you that's what you were thinking too. So every time we see an opening bracket of any of these types, we push it onto a stack. Anytime we see a closing bracket, we pop off whatever the most recent opening bracket is that we saw, and we make sure that it is of the same type. If it's not, then our string is invalid, right? All right, let's do that. So I'm going to grab all of these tests they've given us, and then we can't forget blank as well. And let's throw those into a test file. So I'm going to create our new test. We'll call it solutiontest.rb. We're going to use Minitest for this, like we always do. Minitest comes with Ruby. That's why I like to use it. We don't need to install anything. And Minitest Pride gives us color in our test output. And it says fabulous, which is always nice. Now let's describe our solution. This is where we're going to use those test cases we were given. And we'll just call our method valid. Valid A, I believe, is how you say it with the question mark. Valid A. Okay, so it returns true when the string is valid. When the string, yeah, I'm just going to say is valid. Very good. Let's paste our examples. Oh, I lost them. Let's go back to our README. Let's grab them all. Paste them in. All right, now we get to do some Vim macro magic here. So I'm going to start recording our macro. We're going to delete a line, delete a line, delete a line. And this is our input. Delete, delete. I'm going to change these to single quotes. There we go. Go back to the beginning of the line. And we're going to pass in solution.valid. Right? Go back to the beginning of our line. We expect to get back true. We'll paste that. We'll do that. We'll delete that line. Delete that line. And now we're done recording our macro. Let's try running it just to make sure that worked. Excellent. Another one. Another one. I like doing these one at a time just to make sure nothing crazy happens. Okay. So we've converted those into tests. Let's fix the spacing. And now let's organize these a bit. So I'm going to move my false down here. And instead of doing assert equal now, I can just do assert on these. Because assert already checks this output and makes sure that it's truthy. And that means on these, we can do refute. And then we also had to make sure that a empty string is valid as well, right? All right, there we have it. I'm gonna grab a swig of coffee. Let's go ahead and run our test now. Let's save our file and run our tests. Okay, I have a typo in here. What did I do? Where's my typo? Ah, I'm missing an end. Okay, great. It can't find a solution. Let's create our solution. Class solution. And now let's create the method that we're going to be testing here, which is valid. And it's going to take an input. Okay, expected nil to be truthy. Excellent. All right, so now we actually got to do this thing, right? So before we do this, let's create a list of, we're going to create a map of all the bracket characters that we care about. And I guess we can just call them brackets. And this is going to have our opening bracket mapping to our closing bracket. This way we can match them up later. So what do we got? Go back to our README, make sure we get all the brackets that we care about. So we've got parentheses, and then we've got the squigglies, and then we've got the squares. Okay. Perfect. So that's all we care about. Now we can create our stack, which is just an array. Nothing that fancy about a stack. Now we can go through each of the characters in our input and if this is an opening bracket, so that's going to be brackets.keys. Then we're going to push this character on the stack. Otherwise, if it's a closing bracket, we're going to pop the most recent opening bracket off the stack and grab the closing bracket for that opening bracket, compare it to our character, if those are equal, then we're good. If they're not equal, then the string's not valid and we can return false, right? So return false if brackets stack.pop does not equal char. So if our closing characters don't match up, return false. Otherwise, we just continue, right? We just pop this off the stack, so we're good. Any other characters? Is there anything we need to do? No. If it's any other character type, we don't care. Now, when we get to the end, we know our string is invalid if we still have stuck on the stack. If there's still any opening brackets on the stack that have not yet been closed, then we're good, right? Let's make sure we have empty. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we do. And just to make sure, Okay. So if our stack is empty, then the whole string was valid. If we still have something on there, then it's not valid, right? Because we're missing a closing bracket. So let's see if we've got a typo here. Ta-da! Man, that was a good one. So yeah, I think this is good. Is there any part of this that can be more readable? Input.chars, bracket set keys include. Yeah, I think this is fine. This one was pretty straightforward, actually. I'm a little bit surprised. So is there any other test cases we want to add? I think this is good. We've got one bracket inside another bracket. We've got brackets next to each other. We've got a single bracket. Yeah. We've got some opening with closings. We've got our empty string. Let's go ahead and throw this into a commit. There's our solution, and add solution for today, which is the 20th of February, and push it up. Okay, thanks for joining me for another day. I'll probably do another one of these tomorrow. See you then. Bye-bye.